But welcome everybody. So thank you guys so much for joining us this afternoon. I know it's a Friday. We're wrapping up our week and wrapping up our day. So I appreciate y'all's time. I'm Amanda Viola. I'm the Director of Business Development for eCarra. And I'll be your moderator for today's session. And today's session, we're going to have it in a more of a format of an AMA. And what I mean by that is an Ask Me Anything session. And with us today, we have Rock Robinson, the CEO of eCarra, the all-Tesla rideshare company that plants a tree for every ride, and the CEO of O3 Solar Energy, Brad Stutzman. So for our topic today, we'll be deep diving into the future of green startups in DFW. So what I'd like you guys to do, if you guys have questions to start us off, go ahead and put them into the chat, and we'll put them into the conversation. So to start us off, can you guys hear me okay?
Hear me okay?
Yes. All right, good. Brad?
Yeah, I can hear everything all right. How about yourself?
Very good, very good. Okay, great. So while we're waiting for those questions and comments in the chat box, I'd like to go ahead and start off some questions to allow you guys to get to know Rock and Brad just a little bit more. So Brad, let's start off with you. What is your company's mission with O3 Energy, and how does that relate to your personal mission?
Yeah, so O3 Energy, just to give everybody a little bit of background on O3 Energy. O3 Energy is a startup. We're a developer in the renewable energy space. Our main focus is solar projects, so mainly distributed generation, so on-site solar electricity. So buildings that a company may want to go renewable. We would come in and we would develop a project for their rooftop, parking lot, a field adjacent to their property, so on and so forth, design it, build it out, and then maintain it for them long term. So our mission statement as a company is to provide the planet with the most economical and forward-thinking clean energy solutions. That's what we provide our clients, and that's the goal of the company moving forward. And I say economical because that's one of the main pieces of the company is providing financing mechanisms for our clients. The renewable energy projects come with a lot of tax incentives, tax credits, and things like that. And so different types of entities, whether it be a for-profit entity or a nonprofit entity, have different needs whenever it comes to financing and different ways to attack their projects in order to provide them with the best solution. So, so our mission statement again is to provide the planet with the most economical and forward-thinking clean energy solutions. We will continually innovate successful clean energy solutions, both for our clients, in our communities, and for our planet.
Awesome, that's great. Rob, how about you? What is eCarra's company's mission statement, and how does that relate to your personal mission as well?
Yeah, so thanks for your time, everyone. eCarra is the very first all-electric rideshare company that plants a tree for every ride. But that's just a little part of what we do. Our overall vision is to reduce emissions and help people take more advantage of electric vehicles. We know some things that are very interesting with electric vehicles. One is the cost to operate. Brad talked about economics. I think when you get into the green space, there's a lot of economics that make sense. And we've proven that we could show operators how to operate all electric vehicles, moving people, packages, pizza, it really doesn't matter what it is, and doing it with no tailpipe gas. So that's kind of what we do. We want to license our software to other operators all over the world. We want to help taxify or electrify taxi companies and other small micro fleets and operators that move people around internationally as well. So that's what we do. And for my personal, for me, it's all about, leaving something behind for our kids and our grandkids, what kind of condition are we leaving our planet in? And so one of our underlining core values is leaving everything better than the way we found it. So that's kind of what's our driving force.
Great. Well, we have a question that came in. What's the biggest mistake you see in companies, i.e. startups, make and when it comes to energy consumption? Brad, you want to take this one?
So specifically, the biggest mistakes whenever it comes to their energy consumption or the startup itself?
It says, what is the biggest mistake you see companies, startups, SMEs, and or big multinational brands make when it comes to energy consumption?
I would say the biggest thing is being aware of it. A lot of companies aren't even aware; they don't even pay attention to the fact that they have options or can go with a renewable energy solution. It's just everybody looks at electricity and energy a lot of times just as a basic commodity and aren't. You'd be surprised at how many companies just aren't even aware of how they are billed on a day-to-day, hour-by-hour, 15-minute interval, go forward basis. There's huge demand charges a lot of times if a company comes in and say flips on all of their equipment in their facility all at once in the morning, just come in and flip it all on. Well, that pulls a huge drain on the grid just right at once. And so the utilities charge for that. So they charge astronomical fees for those demand charges. And a lot of companies aren't aware of that. So just being able to be aware and to develop your processes for your company around those sorts of uses of electricity and being aware of the different options that are on the table for going with a sustainable solution.
Great. Very good. Rock, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, just kind of tail on what Brad was saying, awareness, right? It's a big deal. It's a mistake. It's an oversight. Like, for example, I was talking to a guy today that is wanting to help electrify the city of Cedar Hill down south of Dallas. And he was talking about the police department. One of the things that the police department, I mean, think about all of the tons of oil products and things that they have to do with those vehicles. Just that one little thing, gone. Like when you electrify, all those oil changes and all that stuff goes away. So the cost right there, right? And he was like, wow, like that could save our city like thousands of dollars. And I'm thinking, yep. And so, and then I went into like, hey, how the police parking lots need to have solar canopies, the whole thing. And he was like, well, wow, well, that makes sense, because then we don't have to spend so much on dirty energy. So I go back to that big mistake. It's like oversight. It's like really not aware of, it's not a good or bad thing. I just think that, it's an educational piece, maybe. Brad, what do you think?
Yeah, no, it's definitely an educational piece, and it's just something that people don't think about on a day-to-day. You just think about, you flip on a light switch and it's there. You don't really think about the back end of how it got there, the costs involved. And so, yeah, you're absolutely right. Just sitting down and educating business owners, which also trickles down to consumers as well, on how that affects their business, how that affects their bottom line. So,
yeah, for sure.
Good. So some people may be new to the sustainable startup space. So maybe, Rock, can you share what eCarra's impact is on the environment, and how do you work to continue to be sustainable and innovate in that space?
Right. So for eCarra, again, ideally, what we would like to see is to electrify all movements of people, packages, and product, food products. And so in doing so, we know that, one, we reduce tailpipe gas tremendously. And then that second component is when we just get into the tree planting and the automation of that, we want to be an automated part of reforesting as we go forward. So our impact is going to hopefully be huge. We have companies that we license our software to, and we've committed to plant a tree for every one that gets in their cars. So this is like a company initiative that we want to kind of like take and model for other big corporations on how they can plant a tree with different interactions, things like that. As well as air quality. We are working with some really cool ideas on how we can capture air quality as our vehicles are driving down the road. And literally we have the possibility of understanding air quality at a different level than we've ever had in our lifetime, because I guarantee you, like, the air quality wherever your nearest highway is from where you are is not the same as where you are. Like, it changes that quickly. And so we want to show how we need to do better in those spaces. So with the awareness piece, it goes again with our vision, is how do we reduce emissions in cities, period. Every city that we know of has some type of climate action plan or some type of initiative to move people to sustainable transportation, whether it's bikes, trucks, scooters. It doesn't really matter to us. It doesn't even have to be a car, right? So our software works if we're using electric scooters or bikes and whatever. So we want to continue to make tools and be innovative in a way that moves those people together, connecting the consumer, connecting the operator, and whatever those things are that need to be moved.
Very good. Brad, how about you with O3 Energy? What is the company's impact on the environment, and how do you work to continue to be sustainable as a company and also innovate?
Well, right off the bat, and it's funny just playing into some of the things that Rock was talking about. One of the things that we work with our clients is not only lowering their electricity bills through renewable energy or clean energy, but also, the impact that they will have by converting. They're lowering their carbon emissions, they're lowering the emissions in general, because, most of the energy is coming from, some sort of, brown power nowadays for the most part. And by doing that, you're helping with that air quality. It's amazing to me, if you've ever looked at any studies at the air quality around coal fire plants and the health issues that the people that live around those coal fire plants have. And if you look at the costs associated with that, green energy, by switching to that, just the air quality itself helps save a lot of the costs just in the health benefits and things from the air quality in those areas. Additionally, helping the environment, I would say as far as the environment, as far as us as a society, our society is continuing to grow and continuing to develop. And as we do so, we're going to consume more and more and more electricity. And by creating more solutions to provide electricity to our clients, to the grid, so on and so forth, we're helping in that development of our society and that need as we grow and as we bring on new technologies. And then finally, we're helping groups like the nonprofits that we work with, and helping them convert to solar by one of the things we do is we monetize our tax credits, or monetize the solar tax credits for them. A lot of people don't realize that with renewable energy projects, there's a huge piece of the project that is paid for through tax credits. And if you don't have a way to monetize those tax credits or use them, like a nonprofit that doesn't pay any taxes, groups like that, then you're basically paying double what a for-profit group would pay for the same kind of solar system. So we're helping to monetize that for them by bringing in investors that will monetize that tax credit on their behalf and pass those savings on to them so that they can go renewable and reap those rewards.
Very good. Informative. So we had another question come in. So in terms of team composition, referring to employees of the company, do you have a set requirement of values for the employees and staff to have, whether that's eco-conscious, sustainable mindset, etc.? If so, what are those? Rock, would you like to start off with those?
Yeah, that's a hard one. I term it as vision aligned. That's kind of the easiest way to do it, for us anyway. had people come in and come and go, and it's okay. But for us, vision aligned people just work a lot and do a lot, way more. Like Amanda's one of them. Like, you know, doing more than what she's worth for sure. And you know, in saying that, I mean, I don't know if we just like standardize it. We haven't done anything like that, but I feel like we're drawn to more vision aligned people, and when we are, we do way better. And that goes down to our drivers. For us, you know, having team drivers that are vision aligned. These are people who are, you know, customer centric people. You know, one of our best drivers has worked for Better Business Bureau for 25 years. Like, I can get better than that. But you know, he's vision aligned in customer service. Like, he understands how important that is, and so that's an easy, you know, way of delivering that information and having a team lead in that aspect. Yeah, I don't know if we I don't know if we set it as a standard or not, or if we're just naturally drawn to it. But I can say from experience that it is way better in an organization when people are vision aligned. Absolutely.
Great insight. Brad, how about you? If you have team employees for O3 Energy, do you have a set requirement of values for the employees and staff?
So early on, whenever we were small, it wasn't as big of a priority to kind of standardize the culture and core values and things like that. But as we grew, we found it more and more important. You know, early on, it was just, you know, a handful of people that worked for the company a few years back. And, you know, me, myself, as the owner and the founder, I interacted with all of them on a day-to-day basis. Now, as we've grown, we're right around 50 employees. And unfortunately, I don't get to interact with all of them on a day-to-day. And a lot of times I may not be a part of the interviews. So as we've grown, the culture has become more and more valuable to really get that in writing and really get everyone who is in that hiring process involved and focused on that culture to make sure that there's the right fit for the company. You know, our core values are commitment, innovation, integrity, and value. You know, we need to make sure that individuals that are coming on board fit into that culture. And we've had instances where they did not fit in that culture, and they may have done a great job on some of the tasks that they were given, but then at the end of the day, they didn't succeed within the company. And it wasn't necessarily their fault, but it may have been our fault as well by not identifying their personal criteria as far as how it fits into our culture. And it kind of affected the team and the dynamics of the team. So, you know, I feel that the culture is very important for the success of the team, and everyone having goals aligned, knowing what we're working towards as a team, so that we can all move forward as a team and we don't have a lot of individuals. So that's why it's become very important to us.
Very good. Thank you guys for that. So yes, absolutely. The green startups are small in North Texas, but it is growing. So you know, are you collaborating with other to grow the industry? Are you collaborating with partners? Brad, how about you?
Yeah, we collaborate with a lot of different groups. You know, obviously the easy one to talk about right now is the collaboration with eCarra. You know,
that's like great synergy. Like, by the way, I think like the excitement that you and I have about this naturally is great, right? We can both see some synergy there, and I think you're gonna probably speak on it way better than I am. But the idea of sharing synergies is huge, and that was a great question. I think that's probably goes into when we look into that oversight that we were just talking about. You know, there's some companies out there that could benefit from our synergies. They just don't know it. They don't see it. What do you think, Brad?
No, absolutely. See, I mean, our synergies are so good. Rock's finishing my sentences here. Just joking. No, but yeah, I mean, so like the really excited about the partnership, and everyone at our company, the partnership or collaborations with eCarra, just in order to kind of offer a full spectrum of products to our clients. The same kind of clients that O3 has are similar in buying patterns, things they're concerned about as eCarra, and but we don't cannibalize on each other's product or service mix. So we can kind of complement each other and provide a better array of products and services to those clients, and they complement each other. One of the things that O3 offers is the installation of EV charging stations. Well, eCarra needs EV charging stations. How do you power those EV charging stations? With solar. If we don't have eCarra that's using the electricity from our solar systems, we don't have clients. So it all feeds into each other, and it's just very symbiotic in nature.
Very good. Yeah. Very good. Rock, you want to piggyback off of any of that?
Yeah, I'm so stoked about the idea of 100% sun-powered energy. Like, the sun drops 84,000 terawatts of energy on us every single day for free. And I think that's a great gift. All we got to do is catch it and use it. And so that's a long-term synergy we're talking about. We're not talking about, we go and do a deal and it's like done. This is like long-term. This is for the extent of people owning their homes and the vehicles that they have as assets. With that, it's a lot. It's a big deal.
Very big. Yeah. So, opportunities for green startups. I think this is a great topic. In DFW, how do you see the funding opportunities in green startups? Do you see, are you aware of any special opportunities? Is it just pick at the gamut as any other startup? Brad, what are your thoughts?
Well, it's been a good thing for Dallas here lately. Dallas has been, in Texas in general, has become one of the hot spots for VC or for venture capital. It used to all just be San Francisco, and now it's moved out of San Francisco, and a lot of that's moving to Dallas. We have several different entrepreneurship groups here in the Dallas area. Global Entrepreneurship Week of Fort Worth being one of those, and several VC firms that are here operating locally that didn't used to be in the Dallas area. So I only see it growing even more, and the Dallas as a whole, or DFW as a whole, kind of taking on that presence that San Francisco used to have in people's mindsets. You see groups like Uber moving here with some of the things that they're doing as far as the flying. What is it? The flying. The little.
The drone.
Yeah, the drone taxi. So it's things like that that are different from a standpoint of that are cutting edge, I guess, from different technologies. And I really think that Dallas is going to be that hub of the future. We definitely have the surface area to expand the city and bring in more groups to complement each other.
Yeah, absolutely. Rock, how do you see the need for green startups in DFW?
I really believe, honestly, after just 2 or 3 years of asking, there is so much money. Like I know where you guys are, but from Dallas, the city of Dallas, you do a 10-mile radius, I guarantee you there's $8 to $10 billion that's sitting there waiting for green tech. But it goes down to the end user. It goes down to how many people are going to be the end user, right? That's the hang up. It's like, I was just on LinkedIn talking about this with Jigga Shaw, who's a big advocate for solar and pollution-free vehicles. They have a company called Generate Capital. They got tons of money, and he's saying we need infrastructure. Like, he's the guy with the money saying, I need infrastructure. Like, how are we gonna put these things to work? Who's gonna do the work? How is it gonna flow? Like, Brad and I talk about going to Mexico. We just can't pop into Mexico or something. We got to start. We got to do a pilot. We got to go through some processes and understand things. And so I think that's where the hang up is in the money. And the more and more businesses like us that go and take these challenges and really, canoe through the mountains, that's where the money's going to flow.
Absolutely. That's great. So another question came in. So what's your message for aspiring entrepreneurs? Also, tips on starting up in the green sector. Rock, you want to kick that one off?
I say that, I guess from any inspiring entrepreneur, it's just like you got to dedicate to being just that. I mean, we look at that word sometimes and it feels glamorous, but it's not always that glamorous. I mean, I was an entrepreneur. I started my first business. I say that business in 11th grade, selling T-shirts to the rest of the students in my class. And so I always had money because I was always selling something. But, it takes more than that. It takes a lot of work. It takes sometimes, it's a lot of stress sometimes. I don't know. So I would say be a true entrepreneur. You got to take it, the good with the bad. It all kind of goes together. So, yeah. And be purpose driven, I think, I think when you're purpose driven, you don't have to worry about people stealing your ideas. And, we want people to steal our ideas. Like, go for it. Do it. Let's do it. I'll help you. Like, that was the whole point from the beginning. So.
Right.
Very good insight. Brad, how about you? And what's your advice for aspiring entrepreneurs?
Yeah, so I would say very similar to what Rock is saying. So just jump in full speed, I guess, and be willing to dedicate, the bulk of your time to this. It's never something that you can just kind of tippy toe in and, do this and then also still work a full-time job, working for a corporation, but then think that you're going to have enough time to run a business and start it as well. It really takes a lot of time and really takes, it needs to be the number one priority in your life if you want it to be successful, or one of the top priorities in your life, because it's going to be taking up a lot of your time. So make sure it's something that you really want to do and something that you really enjoy, because, you're going to be spending, 80, 100 hours a week doing it for the first year or two, more than likely.
Or more.
Yeah, or more. So make sure it is something that you're willing to do. And, if you have friends and family around you, make sure that they are willing to support you in something like that as well. Because it is kind of a concerted effort as well, because unfortunately it's going to take some time away from FaceTime with them, and they need to be on board with that decision as well.
Very good advice.
That's a big one, by the way. That's a huge one. Support system around entrepreneurs is a big deal. That's a huge one.
Yeah, absolutely. So another question coming in is, how do you see the growth of jobs for recent graduates in this space, in the green startup space? Do you see there a lot of room for the graduates?
Huge opportunity.
Yeah, there's a lot going on right now. Do you want to jump in on this first, Rock, or?
I'll just say this. I remember maybe, 6 months ago, Elon Musk said something like, hey, we're going to start an electrical engineering school. And I'm thinking, why would a guy do that? Why would he do that unless there was a lack of electrical engineers? There you go. You think about the tech that's involved with Tesla, right? You think about all of the other automakers out there that are really behind because they don't have enough tech people, or developers or engineers that could run as fast as Tesla, and so they got to hire all those people. I mean, it's a, and I tell this to my son. Like my son jokes around. I'm like, bro, if you knew how to develop and code, I probably have to pay you $5,000 a month. Like he's like, what? It's like that's kind of what it takes, you know. So lots of opportunity in my perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I think. If you look at the numbers, I mean, that's the bulk of the new jobs that have been created over the past, decade have been in, the green space, energy and basically innovation. And that kind of plays back into, what we were talking about the synergies between our groups. Our culture is changing, where it wasn't, maybe the mindset wasn't there for sustainability. The technology wasn't there before, and now it's there, and we're moving that way in a big way. Everybody's concerned about their footprint. Businesses are concerned about their footprint. We know that if we aren't concerned, it's going to affect not only us, but the entire world and the generations to come. And so with that, you need the manpower to help us get those solutions out to market, and it's only going to continue to grow. And so, this is definitely a space to be in for anyone coming out of college.
Really good. Great question coming in. So we have one here. What's the most challenging problem you encountered when scaling up your company from being a startup? They'd love to hear your story. Brad, do you want to touch on this one?
Yeah. So one of the biggest challenges is always juggling operations and sales. So, you're trying to sell more than your operations has in place, but then you need your operations to kind of catch up in order to fulfill those sales. And so it's kind of a big juggling act between the two, and juggling the capital back and forth between the two, because, you're building something bigger with the funds and the resources that you have at a smaller size. And so it's, like I said, it's nothing but a juggling act to make sure that you're not growing too fast and can sustain it, but then also are going fast enough to where you can sustain it. So it's just that juggling act back and forth with resources in order to grow.
Oh, very good. Rob, what is a challenging problem that you encountered when scaling up?
That's a typical chicken and the egg thing that pretty much kind of what Brad's talking about is always one of those staple kind of issues. For us, everything was a challenge. I mean, when we first started, it was like, how are you going to get a Tesla? And crickets. It's like, but I think when you think of issues in an innovative way, there's always an answer. And so we didn't know this, but we found the greatest answer ever. It's like, let's just share each other's stuff. That's kind of cool, right? We share each other's homes. Why not share each other's cars? So the answer was there. We just had to look at it. I think a lot of times we look at these challenges in the wrong way. I think if we can look at challenges in an innovative way all the time, then it's not as bad as you think, right? It's just a challenge, and it's just how you view it and how you approach it, I think, right? Because there's always an answer, whether you can see it or not. But I think if we can get through the way we look at it. Tony Height says this, one of my favorite quotes, CEO of Zappos: nothing is ever as good or as bad as it seems. And I always try to approach things like, I feel like we're wrong anyway. So, okay, let's fix it. Right? So like, I think if we look back at ourselves in 10 years, we're going to be like, wow, we were not that smart in 2020. So it's okay. I know it's just look at it in a positive manner, and everything has an answer.
Very good. Very good. So this is very specific to each company. So Rock, how about you? So the question is how did your business model evolve since the beginning into now? So maybe talk about, fully how eCarra has evolved, and how did you innovate that model?
Yeah, we were talking about this the other day. The first idea was using gasoline cars, unbelievably, right? So there you go. We had an idea. We were in the car business, so we knew that car businesses were struggling. So we had an idea called Ride Brand, which was basically using higher end cars to do ride sharing. Not really that innovative. It was like, okay, we're just gonna get a nice car and put people in it, and but that doesn't innovate where we are. And so we just got stuck. Like, this is not a smart idea, and eventually we just got to the point where it was like, the only way we can successfully do this and be valued to our community is we have to benefit the community. And the only way to truly benefit the community, and they don't even know it yet, is to help with the environmental aspects. And so eCarra was a no-brainer for us. It was like, we need to take this concept and move it into all electric, and we did. It just evolved into us having all electric rideshare company, and then that evolved into, wow, wait a minute, nobody's doing this, so we can sell the software that we're making for ourselves. We were like, oh wow, this is great. And then it got to be these other verticals where we're like, whoa, look how bad air pollution is. Oh my God, people don't even see this. Maybe we should start capturing that data. So I think, again, getting in there, understanding that you committed to something, and then like you have a vision. Our vision is to reduce emissions and help people take advantage of electric vehicles. All those things fit into our vision. So for us, it's just easy. It's like, whoa, we just keep evolving. You know?
Very good. Very good. So, Brad, about O3 Energy, really talk about kind of how your business model from conception on, how does that evolve?
Yeah, so it's evolved quite a lot. Whenever we first started the company, our main focus was on the financing and development of mainly small utility scale and commercial projects. So we would come in, and development and financing doesn't take a whole lot of personnel. A lot of it is contracted out. So as we grew, we added on the construction side. We were contracting out the construction of the solar projects, or the EPC is what it's called, the engineering, procurement, and construction. And so we brought that in-house because we were seeing a lot of opportunities to provide the construction for our own projects, but then also for third-party groups, so other developers or other groups kind of like us. So we started building out the EPC division, and that started taking on a lot of manpower. There's things that are needed on that side that were not needed on the development side, but they both complement each other and make us more vertically integrated. And then, in the past, residential solar didn't really make sense, especially in Texas. I would say not up until probably about 2 years ago, whenever pricing started coming down on solar, did it start making sense in Texas. And then the energy rates started going up in Texas as well. And so that was whenever we started a residential division here in the DFW area to focus on that, which that took a lot of pivots, a huge difference in working with B2B versus B2C, and just kind of tweaking some things, tweaking our sales processes, things like that, to service that sort of clientele versus the B2B customers. There's a lot more hand-holding involved and education involved on the B2C side than there is on the B2B side. So a lot of evolution as the company's grown, and a lot of learning. I would say, for anyone trying to get into this space, don't be afraid to make mistakes. You're going to make mistakes. Just learn from them and move on. Just don't make the same mistake twice or multiple times, because then there's something wrong. Learn from it and adjust accordingly. Don't get upset over it. That's the biggest takeaway from entrepreneurship, I think.
Right. Really good advice. Really good advice. So another question that came in This is pertaining to IP, how do you protect your intellectual property and go about getting patents? Can you maybe talk through that? Brad, do you have some insight?
Yeah, so, there's so much that's considered IP. We went through the process of really our branding. We don't hold a lot of patents because we don't make any of the materials from scratch. We kind of assemble other people's materials. The best way I explain it is like a home builder or someone building a high-rise building. They're designing and assembling all the pieces. They're not going out and coming up with a new piece of glass or a new piece of insulation. So that's similar to us with the solar panels. We buy the solar panels, we buy the wiring conduit, we buy the inverters, we buy the batteries, and we come up with a way to integrate it into the building, so on and so forth. So we don't really have a whole lot of patentable sort of pieces to the company. Now, as far as our branding, some of our processes, things like that, we have gone through the process of trademarking all of that intellectual property. That it actually takes a little bit of time. I think it took us about a year, and that wasn't even the submission piece. That was just kind of sitting around and waiting. I would say get a good attorney, and make sure that, whatever you're going to trademark, whatever you're going to patent is something that you're going to get a return on. There's no point in going and, filing for IP and spending all that cost if you're not going to do anything with it, not going to sell it. The best story I've heard about that was the lady that invented the fidget spinner. I don't know if you've ever heard the story on that. She invented it like 30 years ago for her kids. She was an engineer, had a patent on it for 10 years, didn't ever do anything with the patent, let the patent lapse, and then one of these toy companies just picked it up for nothing and just started making a ton of money on it, because she never did anything with the patent. She just bought it, or she just patented it because it was an idea. And so that's, you really have to plan out what you're going to do with that IP, because just because it's there doesn't mean that it's really worth anything. You actually have to do something with it.
Got it. Really good insight. How about for you and eCarra? How do you go about protecting the IP with the technology?
Yeah, that's a big one. We're right in the middle of that right now with kind of like what Brad's saying. There's a couple things involved here. You have the actual trademarking of, say our logos and all those things that make us who we are from a brand perspective. We do have a few things that we are going to submit for patent that are hardware things that we have built. That's why when I say stuff like capturing air quality, I can't say how we're doing it just yet, but it's a process, and so we want to submit those things. And the way we do it is just going through the process. You have to kind of stay a little bit secretive as you get those things going. But there's no way to be completely secret. I mean, there's just no way. Everybody's listening. Everybody knows everything. So, I mean, ideally, I think, I read a few books about IP. Again, it's about how hard you work and going and making things happen. Like Brad said, like you can have, intellectual property that if you don't go out and work hard to get it out there, it's just in your head. It's just an idea. So I think the real work behind IP is the work. Documenting it happens as you do the work, for the most part. But then you have like the legal documents. It's almost like a marriage. Like you can date somebody, you can be really cool with them, and that's cool. But then that's like official. So nobody can take away your dating and all of the things that you do in that relationship to make it what it is. That's what it is. It's valuable, but the legitimacy, I guess, comes from that license or documentation or whatever you have to do to fortify it, I guess. So yeah,
putting a ring on it.
Putting the
So
ring on.
put a ring on it for sure. I want to ask this question as a follow-up question. Have either of you had to defend your IP? I'm not sure if you guys have been in that circumstance.
Yes, but not like internally more than externally.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Brad, how about you? Have you had to defend any of your copy or?
Fortunately, we have not. Yeah, we haven't run into, and I mean, that's not saying that it's not infringed upon somewhere, but, you know, I haven't seen it yet. So,
Right. By the way, as we were talking about the patents and things like that, I think, Brad, that your company will at some point discover in the work that you're doing a patentable project that is going to bring a lot of value and wealth to you. I guarantee you. Just keep doing the work. It's going to happen.
right.
Very good.
Not sure what it is, what could be, but it'll happen.
Good deal. So another question that came in, would you change anything that you did going back in the beginning, or maybe younger self? What advice would you give to your younger self back in the beginning? Would you change anything? Brad, how about you?
I would.
If so,
I would tell starting off, I would tell my younger self to get a good mentor. Some of the mistakes that I think I made early on, and not necessarily with this company, but some companies that I previously had, could have easily been avoided had somebody with some experience kind of guided me in the right direction, and like little stuff, you can set up an entity with the state of Texas, which is fairly easy for $300. But if you go to an attorney and ask them, they'll do it for you for $3,000. Well, you just basically overpaid $2,700. The little things like that early on you don't really know, and then as you start getting into the things, you realize where you can save money, where you can cut costs, and that just comes from experience. Same thing with contracts or things like that. Make sure. That's another thing as well. Make sure that just because you think something in a contract looks good doesn't mean that it's legally going to stand up. So make sure that you spend that money when needed to have an attorney review contracts that you need, because the law in Texas may not be the law in Oklahoma if you're doing business there, or may not be the law in New Mexico or California. So, just make sure that you're kind of checking the boxes as you go by, and don't just kind of push things forward too fast to try to get it done. Make sure you're doing it right, not just getting it done.
That's really good. What about you? Anything that you go back to yourself?
Yeah, same. Biggest learns were just don't move. I mean, even though you sometimes you feel like you got to move fast, doing it right is better than fast. Learned a huge learn from that. But as Brad is saying, it goes with having a mentor or someone involved with you, someone to help you, right? That's other eyes and other emotions involved. I feel like are healthy, especially if it's synergy to get something done or to talk through contracts and things like that. It's nothing to be afraid of. It's just things that you don't want to have wisdom about, and be connected with the right people about. So, but again, everything is a big learn. You make mistakes. You're gonna. Yeah, I don't want to say that we can go back and regret anything, because I've learned a lot from those mistakes, and it makes us who we are, for the better. But definitely even having a mentor, you're still gonna make mistakes and fall short. But it's good to have a couple people in your life to help you in that manner. So, yeah, if I could go back, I would tell the same young whippersnapper, listen to the mentors and seek out knowledge more and share. Don't worry about don't be afraid to share your ideas with people and get feedback. It's okay.
Really good. That's great advice. So this is another question pertaining to each of your companies. So Brad, how do you see the future of O3 Energy, and do you have an exit strategy for O3 Solar?
So we're continuing to grow. We are trying to, well, we're growing our residential side right now. We've recently expanded into Colorado, Florida, and we'll also be expanding into Oklahoma as well. Adding that footprint to our residential side. We already operate nationally on the commercial and utility side. With residential, it's just tough because it's very tough to absorb travel expenses, things like that on a smaller size project. So you really have to be localized to do the residential. So we're continuing to expand the footprint of the residential side. And then we're opening up some other offices and looking at some acquisitions ourselves to really strengthen the company, add some more vertical integrations, and in order to lower our margins across the board. And we have been, we have entertained some exit strategies as well. I personally think it's probably too early for me to do something like that. I'd like to see it, grow a bit more. But we have had some offers on the tables from groups to come in and take a piece of the company, invest money here or there in order to help us with that acquisition strategy that we're looking at, and may entertain a total exit strategy or sell off one day down the road. So.
Very good. Rock, how do you see the future of eCarra, and do you have an exit strategy?
Yeah, we're going to grow the coolest platform for electric vehicles in the world and sell for an undisclosed amount of money.
Perfect. Sounds fantastic.
All I can tell you.
Yeah. So actually, we've got a question pertaining to the defending your IP internally. So Rock, this is directly for you. How to avoid to have to defend your IP internally? Do you have advice? I know it's a very situational, instance for this, but maybe broadly kind of talk about how you can avoid that.
The easiest way is to just document everything. That was the determining factor. For me, I just documented I've documented everything since the very start. I'm a file cabinet guru. So even the receipt from the very first domain that we bought, like everything's somewhere. And so that's the best way. You just, because IP gets sketchy sometimes, people go,
right.
Well, I had this idea, and it's not about necessarily ideas all the time, but documentation is huge regardless. It's just the only way to prove anything, and when you document well, everything will be fine.
Awesome. Great. So I think we have time for one more question. I will add, I'm going to put in our chat O3 Energy's website and eCarra's website and information as well, just so attendees can check us out. And last question. Let's see. This will be a great one. So Brad, what challenges do you see for other green startups in the future? Do you see different hurdles and things like that, or do you feel like it's going to be a lot easier as we go along?
No, I don't think it's going to be any easier. One of the biggest things that drives what's renewable energy and clean energy, my realm, one of the biggest drivers of that space is regulation. And regulation is always changing. We're switching administrations right now. That's going to cause some change. So just keeping up with all of that. Also tax code, whenever Trump changed the tax code a couple years back, that changed everything. So we had to look at new ways to structure financing for projects. So it's just this ever-changing regulation really affects the business. And I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. I think it's just a constant that we deal with, in this country and the world in general. We're always going to have these changing regulations, changing policies, things like that we're going to have to work around. I don't think it'll ever get any easier. There always have to be those changes implemented.
Yeah, that's good insight. So Rob, how do you see the challenges for other green startups in the future?
Yeah, I'm going to go a little bit different twist. I think, yes, we still have to deal with regulations and legislation. Like, for example, the TNC licensing. It's set up for big companies like Uber and Lyft. It's not set up to help the little guy. It's just not. It's expensive. It's hard to do. It's like very hard. But we got to do it. Although I think it's going to be easier for people like me to start companies like we have, because we're going to help them. I think as we continue to evolve, it'll be more and more support that will help a little bit in orchestrating these business models and getting it out there. So, and then along with administration, supposedly, President-elect Biden has $1.7 trillion set aside for clean energy and clean tech. That's cool. That happens. That would help out, quite a bit. At least it would put money into those specific areas, right? And clean tech to just kind of start flowing. Maybe it's engineering school. Maybe it's more of that, so that Brad can hire more electrical engineers to expand into different markets. Maybe it's, initiatives with automakers to allow them benefits and tax credits and stuff to produce more battery generated cars. And who knows, but it's, I feel like it will get easier if we help each other. But yes, we have to deal with the hard work. Yeah. Great.
Well, wonderful. I think we are out of time. So thank you guys so much for attending the session, and your questions were wonderful. Really got everything flowing really nicely. So I put O3 Energy's website and eCarra's website down there. So please contact either one of us if you have further questions. We'd love to discuss and chat further. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Great time.